Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a very interesting show set up for you today. Yeah, Kentucky, things are not going well up there. It's not going well at all. They're in shambles. Now, I can understand it in football. There's a whole lot of reasons for that, and we'll talk about that. But the basketball team, I mean, I was looking for them to come out of the gates flying. $22 million on their roster. I mean, nobody's spent any more money than they have. And Mark Pope was talking about taking out the shiny blue Lamborghini. He couldn't wait to see what these guys are going to do. And they just got dog-walked by Gonzaga. I mean, terrible. And it was in Nashville, which you think, well, that's a neutral setting. It was all Kentucky. I mean, it was the blue. It looked like Rupp Arena South. And they're pretty used to traveling down to Nashville. They play the SEC tournament there a lot. And, of course, we always call that the Kentucky Invitational, or my brother Junebug does, because he always goes to it, and he's like, it's 90% Kentucky fans. And that shouldn't shock you. If you don't know Kentucky sports, there's basketball, there's football, and then there's everything else. And that's just the reality of Kentucky. So let's take a look at their first 10 games. They're 6-4, but 6-4 can kind of be deceiving. You're thinking, oh, well, that's not the worst I've ever heard of. For Kentucky, believe me, they understand the details. Let me show you this. Their first game was against Nichols, which they won no problem. Well, actually, last year, we beat them in the Sweet 16.
Can we just beat this team?
78-65. I do remember that. But anyway, their first game, no problem against Nichols. Then they played the Valparaiso Fighting Possums and whooped up on them. So they're 2-0. Then they played Louisville. That's their first official game, really. And Louisville beat them by 8. I mean, you know, it was close enough. It wasn't like a butt whooping, but it's hard to lose to Louisville. And we'll talk about that here in a second with Mark Stoops. Then they beat Eastern Illinois. And then they played another good team, Michigan State, and they whooped them awful, 83-66. Then they played Loyola MD, which I'm assuming is a doctor's office up in Loyola. And they whooped up on them by 40. Then they played the OVC Tennessee Tech. Then they played a good team in UNC. UNC barely got them by 3. So, you know, they played 3 good teams so far. They're 0-3. Then Gonzaga just literally Gonzaga's a dog, so they just dog-walked them. 94-59, folks. 35-point victory. Worst loss since 1990 for Kentucky. I mean, and we're talking, this is Mark Pope. I thought was a great hire, and I have not given up on him yet. But the dude won at BYU. He was on the Kentucky team when they won a natty. He was in pre-med. Dude's super smart. And he's gun-ho as can be. So I can't believe how weak Kentucky looked yesterday or last night. I mean, just they looked weak. I mean, Gonzaga just – and Kentucky fans this morning are beside themselves.
We got no food. We got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off! Okay, just calm down.
Yeah, pets' heads are falling off. Look, they take basketball really seriously. If this is football, and I'm going to talk about that, but they can kind of handle it, but not basketball. You don't mess with basketball.
We have a lot to say today as Kentucky just absolutely embarrassed, steamrolled, demolished. I mean, all of the things tonight here at Bridgestone Arena, 94-59, just ass-whooping. But
that's crazy.
At the hands of Mark Few and the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
We came into this arena, and if you watched our pregame walk and talk, which you should now just to laugh at us, because, man, were we wrong, and this place was buzzing. I mean, Kentucky fans love coming to Nashville. They love filling up this arena for SEC tournaments. This is the first, non-SEC tournament game I think I can remember here. And the Kentucky fans showed out. This place was loud. It was crazy. There was a buzz in the building. And it just, I asked these guys before we started, I haven't seen this team in person. This is my 3rd game this season in person. Is this as bad as it seemed tonight? Like, how many more volumes worse was it than the other performances? Because I couldn't believe at times how bad this was. It was like Kentucky was a bad high school team playing a college team. They spent their money to come down here again. It was a big trip, expensive ticket, expensive hotel. They were ready for it. Just that excitement morph into horror and shock and boos and anger. And then in the second half, the boos to just turn into just like people were resigned to the fact that this team is bad.
They booed them at the first half, at the end of the first half, and then they booed them. It was bad. And I'm not really sure that I've seen a Kentucky team quite like this. I mean, they were used to slow starts with John Calipari. That was kind of his MO. He would go out and get a bunch of one-and-done guys from high school that were 5 stars, and it took him a while to kind of merge them together. So you knew the first 10, 12 games would be a little bit marginal. But I didn't expect that to happen with the Mark Pope team. But this is not what the Kentucky folks need right now. They just fired Mark Stoops. Now, Kentucky football has an excuse. It's a built-in excuse now. Before the worst thing that ever happened to Stoops was NIL. Okay? That's why, I have a tough time blaming him. He was a good coach, and he's still a good coach. But when NIL showed up, he didn't have the money to compete. Before, he was trying to get people to come to a place that's a basketball school, and that's hard enough. But at least it was a somewhat level playing field. He didn't have teams throwing $1 million over here and $500,000 over here, and he's offering half as much money. Because most of the money goes to basketball. That's how you get a $22 million roster out of 13 guys. And he was stuck having to go get a Zach Calzada, the 3-star, out of the transfer portal.
Who?
Because he couldn't afford a big-time quarterback. So it was hard to really blame him. But the NIL just put him in a bad spot. And, of course, last year they went 4-8. This year, I thought he'd saved his job when he beat Florida. It's like, okay, he's going to get through this season, which is good for me. I liked having Mark Stoops up there. He was a really good go-to guy for me for content. And he would get real angry and upset and say crap that would upset the Kentucky fan base. And, he was just a really bad loser, which, look, you want your coach to be a bad loser. And he was a terrible one. So losing him was look, I already lost Billy Napier, which is bad enough for my channel. As you know, that hurt me bad. Now, losing Mark Stoops, I lost Brian Kelly, another hothead. I lost 5 SEC coaches this year. 5. That's not fair. I had a lot of great content built up over the years covering these dudes, and they're all gone now. Thank goodness I didn't lose Beamer. If I'd lost Beamer, I don't know. That would have just been too much. But Stoops is gone. It's not really his fault. And he knew the deal. It's a basketball school. John Calipari told him that. Everybody knew it. And the reality is basketball rules there. It's the head of the household.
We're going to get some shit straight. But since you do exist, and I'm going to be the head of the household, and you're going to learn to live by my rules. The first rule is, you don't speak unless you're spoken to. You got me? And you stay the hell out of my way.
Yeah, Stoops knew. He understood it. But now your basketball team has not beaten a ranked, the only teams they played that are any good, they've lost every one of them. They're really 0-4 against quality basketball teams. And that's not reality for Kentucky. They won't accept that. So Stoops is going to have to turn this around. Otherwise, it's going to get ugly up there. Stoops thinks he took some grief. Oh, no. If this team doesn't get it going soon, Pope's going to understand pressure and stress. And I don't dislike Pope at all. I thought it was a really good, solid hire. But we'll find out. But that's not the Kentucky program I'm used to watching. That game looked like, I don't know what the crap it was. So anyway, keep an eye on Kentucky. I don't know if they're going to get it turned around or not, but you're going to find out how serious things can get when the basketball's not right.
He ain't lying.
For the Wildcats. They won't tolerate it. So if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's know. Continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, boom, boom, and boom. Hit that little button right there. It won't cost you a dime. Help you get my videos. And right over here's the most recent video. YouTube, thanks, you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.
This is a basketball school. It's always been there. Alabama is a football school. So is Georgia. They are.
Right.
This is a